Now we're going to talk a little bit about exercise selection. There still seems to be a lot of confusion around exercise selection and what's best and what's not, what works and what doesn't. Now, unless you've got very specific goals, there may be things that are more beneficial or conducive to that thing, but ultimately it just comes down to preference and finding things that you enjoy and that are fun and that you can stick to and that you want to do. Now, you're always going to get somebody telling you, here are the 5 best exercises for your arms, here are the 5 best exercises for your legs. Now, we are all individual again, we are all made up differently, we are all put together differently. Those same sets of exercises may not work for you. If we give you a set of exercises and you are not feeling them in the targeted area, then simply find another that does. It may just be that the way you are made up, that those exercises or a couple of those exercises may not just work for you. So when it comes to exercise selection, it's just preference. It all works, but ultimately it's feeling it where you want to feel it. As long as you have exercises that do that for you, you can stick with those forever. All you need to do then is just over time progressively overload those, challenge yourself more and more, make yourself work harder and harder with those exercises. But as long as you feel them where you should be feeling them, they will continue to work for you. So don't be afraid if you're doing exercises. Yes, if you've got the execution right and you're still not feeling it where you should, don't be afraid just to change it up. Go through some different exercises depending on the targeted group and just find the ones that work for you. The other thing when it comes to the exercise selection is people still thinking they need to change what they are doing too frequently. Now, if you change what you are doing too frequently, you will not give your body the necessary time it takes to actually progress those things you are doing, which makes it very difficult then to get stronger, to build muscle, to get fitter. You don't need to. This whole thing of needing to shock your body into changing is just a bit of a myth. Doesn't need to be done. Ultimately, it can be, and it can get a little bit boring for people if we don't change those things up. So, rule of thumb, I would look at putting you on a program anywhere up to 8, 10, 12 weeks. That gives you a good amount of time to progress those things you were doing before potentially changing up to a different plan or a different set of exercise or whatever it may be. But you have to give your body enough time. If you're changing it too quick, you're going to struggle to progress those things. If you're happy doing that and you like changing it up and it keeps it fun and enjoyable for you, then fine. But just understand that you're going to find it very hard to progress some of those things you're doing. Now, the other thing I want to talk about as well is time. You do not need to be in a gym or out exercising 5, 6, 7 days a week for it to be beneficial. If you are somebody that is relatively inactive, genuinely, even 5 minutes a day will always be far more beneficial than none at all. What I normally do with people is I normally work backwards. Realistically, how much time have we got? How much time can we apply and can we give to those things? If I tell someone I want them to be training or exercising 5 or 6 days a week, and it is just unrealistic for them to be able to do that, then we're going to fail straight away. If you tell me you've got 1 day, fine, we work with that 1 day, and even if it's half an hour, we work with that, we work backwards. What can we put into there that is going to be most effective and efficient for you in that time? And then we also go back to the more is not always better. More is not more when it comes to exercise and training, because we have to remember recovery periods. If we are hammering ourselves 6 or 7 days a week on the same sorts of exercise, you're going to struggle to recover. Sessions going forwards are going to feel harder. You're not going to be able to train as hard or as effective. So more is not more, less is more. Recover well, which means going into those sessions going forward, you're going to be able to train much harder and get much more from it.